Karen Holton TV presents the Quantum Guide Show, featuring ordinary people sharing their extraordinary gifts within our social reality. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today, I'm very happy to bring back my returning guest and friend, Adam Gell. Before we start, let me tell you a little bit about him. Adam Gell is a shamanic mentor and certified AKASHIC record reader who specializes in helping his clients to recognize traumas, setbacks, and obstacles. And through various healing modalities, he assists them to better understand a path to a more fulfilling and balanced life. Having overcome life-altering losses and physical traumas himself, he has traveled the path of learning to go inward, develop adaptability and resiliency so he could step up to serve others. Adam had the willingness to become a blended person of all his parts, including the masculine and the feminine, developing his intuition and his ability to heal and to become his gift to the world. Because all parts of a story are worthwhile and create the whole, Adam worked as a physical education teacher in Brooklyn, New York for over 30 years. He was also a Division I baseball player and an adjunct professor of health and nutrition. The production of his film called Forgotten brought a deep level of ancestral healing and understanding of how Adam relates to his present, past, and future. Forgotten played through the film festival circuit in 2018, garnishing great reviews and professional accolades. You can watch it on YouTube, and the link is below in the description. Adam also hosts Conversations with Adam Gell and Inspiring Minds, where he interviews amazing healers and transformers throughout the world every week. He is a professional photographer, writer, and world traveler. Adam finds joy in his family, his work, and his mission to assist people on their own journeys towards self-discovery and fulfillment. All of the links are below in the description box. I want to thank you all in advance for subscribing, leaving me a comment, and please do smash that like button. YouTube channel memberships are now available so you can receive my perks and also help to support my channel. Just going to do a very quick check-in with the live chat, but first I want to bring Adam to the stage. Adam, how you doing?
I'm very good, Karen. How are you? It's nice
Yeah,
to
I'm
be here.
good.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Yeah, it's been a while. And so I thought, oh man, you'd be perfect for helping to start off the new year, being an Akashic record reader, and maybe you've got some insights into 2026. Oh my God, 2025 was such a wild ride. I can't imagine what's coming. I just want to quickly check in with the live chat and just say hi to everyone, Adam, before we get
Yeah,
into the conversation, if that's okay.
sure.
Let's see. Whoop. There, we've got Denise has put the links where you can find Adam online. There's another one there. And if you guys want to buy me a coffee, this is where you can do so. Fearlessly Phoenixing. Hi, nice to have you in the live chat today. She says to make sure to hit the like button and share it out with my friends. Very lucky. I've got a wonderful moderator named Denise, and then of course Fearlessly Phoenixing fills in all over the place and also has such a wealth of information to share with everybody. So I just want to just quickly go through and say hi to everybody before we get lost in conversation, which often happens when sorry, I'm trying to read this at the same time. Oh, let's see, we already said hi to Fearlessly, and to Denise. Well, I guess we'll leave it at that for now. And I want to thank you all, everybody, so much for helping out. And let me just say one more time, we'll put that up for where to find Adam's website. Okay, so yeah, Adam, what are your thoughts about, let's just I don't know, why don't you tell people sort of what you got going on, or if I've left anything
Yeah,
out, or
sure.
where people can reach you just
Well,
right from
well,
the get-go.
yeah, I would say for myself, I'm in the process of writing a book, a memoir about my life growing up in Brooklyn,
Nice.
and running parallel, I would say, with my documentary film, with some aspects of the story from that, but more in depth of, the more the closer relationships that I had, or the lack of relationships I had with parents and family members,
Mm-hmm.
and how how we all go through different challenges with people in our lives, and really we're given the opportunity to use those interactions as a means of growth, or again, as we always speak about, being victimized by something, and
Mm-hmm.
having difficult people in our lives gives us that opportunity. So to learn and to grow and to impart wisdom on others. So my book will be, a book of wisdom, a book of my experiences, and relatable, I think, to everyone, with a historical aspect as well. Um, that note as well, my father is suffering from Alzheimer's, so I'm learning about the process of a soul, transitioning and transcending out of the body very
Mm-hmm.
soon. And so, in working on and dealing with the new energies that are coming in for the new year, for this Chinese New Year and this one energy, also
Mm-hmm.
dealing with that aspect of loss, which makes you look at life in a different way, especially a parent. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I have a lot of things going on an earthly surface, on the earthly plane, and I have a lot of things going on in my means of finding ways of understanding our existence. And so that's some of the stuff I'm doing. I recently returned from Munich, Germany. In November, I participated in a healing spiritual convention in Munich, Germany. Had very nice clients, people that I interacted with, and I got to see the level of consciousness and the universal connection that people share around the world. We sometimes think that it's only in our community. We sometimes think that we're only the friends on Facebook in the specific groups, but we know from the worldwide evolution and the worldwide expansion of consciousness that we can see that people are growing and challenging and shifting. And those minimal, the fewer amount of people, sometimes we take it for granted that there are more than this group who believe in this, and less people believe in that. But there's always strength in some type of inner wisdom and confidence that you exude, and so I found that to be the
Mm-hmm.
case. Yeah. Also, past
Wonderful.
life
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no. I was just going to say that it was also a return to Germany, where I've had that past life encounter in the past, and having it reared itself again, feeling like I was back home, so to speak, in World War
Mm-hmm.
II, and that not in this time in World War II, but the connections and the interplay and react and um, connections with older people who would have been related to the war years again, and asking questions,
Mm-hmm.
and not my age, but people older in the war years, and it's very interesting for me. So yeah, that's what's going on that aspect. And I would say that, I guess, this year coming up, it will be a challenging and an energetic year, be it that it's a 1 year, and also it's the fire horse of energetically. And you asked
Mm-hmm.
me about, in terms of Akashic records. Um, I get a little information on things to make specific predictions. I'm generally more an imagery that I receive, as opposed to naturally specific information. But I'll share that with what I received, if when you want, or how you want to proceed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just wanted to say a couple quick things. One is absolutely all the viewers, please, or even listeners, if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please go into the description and click on the link to Adam's documentary. It's a beautiful story. He starts out with, many challenges in life, like many of us do, but he decided to go back and explore his past and find out, what happened. And it explained a lot. Sorry if I don't mean to be taking words out of your mouth, Adam. Please do correct me if I have any of this wrong. But through going back to his past, he was able to understand his present. And I think now that, you're having, issues with, well, health issues with your parents, it can help put you, I think, in a more compassionate position. So bless your heart for doing that. I think it's awesome that you're going to write your memoirs, because your life is very interesting. And you've also really helped a lot of people by being a school teacher, but also as being a spiritual mentor. So I'm very excited to have you on the show. I want to say a very quick hello to Helena, because I did not say hi to her yet. But besides that, I'm not sure how much we'll get to the live chat today, because I don't want you to miss anything that Adam has to say. So yeah, Adam, can you tell us more about what it means to be a 1 year, and what it means to be to be in the year of the fire horse, and how the two sort of have an interplay? Because I'm pretty sure you could help us get a better understanding of what to expect just from that alone, for starters.
Yeah, well, and if many of you are familiar or not familiar with the Chinese horoscope, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have different animals that every 12 years a new, and every 12 years our there the different animal appears, through our cycles and different
Mm-hmm.
elements that exist. So we're in a fire horse year, which is every time we're born into a specific animal, but a specific element. And during
Mm-hmm.
that period, it comes around every 60 years again, when we returns to the place of what we were born into. So, for example, last year was the wood snake. This year is the
Mm-hmm.
fire horse. The fire horse happened 60 years ago, and it's one of the most intense and, I guess, catalytic energies in the Chinese zodiac cycle. Because
Mm-hmm.
this year itself will present a fast, bold, and, I guess, somewhat volatile, but also liberating year that doesn't allow for any hesitation. So the basic theme is really to be able to move forward and accelerate at sudden changes, which will be presented with. So things will be moving very quickly, and sometimes too quickly for us. And with that will come, like, I guess, rapid endings and beginnings. And therefore we have to make abrupt decisions, and, I guess, breakaways, relocations, and all kinds of systems, relationships will start to collapse. And I don't know if many
Mm-hmm.
people have been feeling that in their lives in different areas, as it relates to people they know, or people they've been with, or uh, regardless, that energy will, like, really rear itself and come to be. So something's been, like, limping along, and the fire horse will certainly expose it. And it's
Very
interesting because
interesting.
Yeah, because it's what's interesting is when I did the Akashic record reading before I came on, I see people looking for, like, new ideas, like, and young people leading, and older people or middle-aged people following the younger generation with new ideas, like a sense of also of turmoil,
Mm-hmm.
um, and a lot of aggression and high energy and fiery energy that's taking place. It's going to take place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very interesting concept. I think also new ways of medicine and handling different types of medical issues on the forefront, that will be coming in and wiping away things that we've been following a paradigm of ways of healing. And now, all of a sudden, as we've been seeing in the news, or if you've been watching, how certain chemicals are being taken out of water, how pesticides are being exposed, and how people are making that shift away from what they once thought was the norm, and moving into something more um, evolving. So there'll also be, I guess, a strong urge to live authentically, even if it costs comfort. We'll have no choice. Like, I guess, the feeling like I can't do this anymore, um, and So it's really claiming, I guess, our self-sovereignty, finding our own way and finding ourselves, with high passion and high conflict. And so that'll be more or less the energy of the fire horse. So it'll actually help a lot of people who are in this work of trailblazing, of doing spiritual work, of being heard and being listened to and being counted on. And um, but with that, we asked that we have a truth that we're living in, or are we running from our truth, or are we facing the discomforts that exist? So this will be that year in the Chinese horoscope. On the contrary, for us, in a 1 year, uh, it's also about beginnings, right? We have the 9 year last year, which was the endings of things, and number one starts something new. So like launching ideas and projects, like what I'm doing, and I guess other people doing. It's, I guess, stepping
Mhm.
into like a fresh path. Um, so it's really not about finishing something; it's about initiating.
Mhm.
And yeah, and so it really will, I guess, define who we are, not what we've been. I guess it's
Mhm.
reclaiming personal authority in our lives, moving away from reliance of others' approval, which is a big one. We were looking to find that support, and rather than taking the initiative of our own lives, we're looking for people to validate us. So this will be a year of really taking charge and moving forward. I don't think we'll have a choice. I think the energies will be strong and pushing us forward. And I guess it's sometimes necessary because we get into that comfort zone where we don't make the move, but life will make it for us. And sometimes
Mhm.
we don't want that, but sometimes it's necessary. Um, and I also thought about the concept, which came through, which was seeing is not always believing. We have the concept that we have to see things to believe things. We use the media as a means or an outlet of our validation instead of using our intuition, and now taking maybe the idea of maybe believing is seeing, as opposed to the opposite, that we can
Yes.
draw upon our own belief system with things, and then create through our intuition and our own insight a new way of looking at things. And I think that's very important, because many people always say, "Did you see it?" Or where did you come with that? That scientific basis of having to prove something.
Mhm.
I think we have to develop inner knowing, and I think that will come through more so in the years to come. And I think it'll start off with this year. Um, yeah, uh, I see people standing below a light, like an alien ship, like a brightly lit ship passing through, and people like in a cone, almost like an hourglass, where they're in the hourglass is coming down into people beneath the hourglass and looking up, and having no choice but to see things, not always
Mhm.
having to see things, but seeing things. Um, and yeah, so that's kind of it in a nutshell. I don't know if I said too much, too little, or
No, it was perfect. It was
yeah,
perfect. Can I ask you a couple questions? Um, I've been
absolutely.
um, I've been getting, well, it started actually a couple of years ago where when I started, uh, I just want to preface by saying that my awakening always comes in layers. Just when I think I've got a handle on what's going on and I adjust to it and can start, preparing myself spiritually, it seems like there's another layer of awakening. So I said to my guides, why do children have to be hurt, and why do we have to have war, and why does it have to be so horrible? And they said to me, or revealed to me really, that it's the only way to wake people up, that we've been so lulled into the propaganda and programming, and until we get a shake up, um, then we start to wake up. So we saw a lot of people waking up since 2020, which I think is a really good thing, although it's not exactly a happy place. We all have to do the dark night of the soul and all the rest of that. But so basically, my guide said that it has to be a certain point for people to wake up, and it's really important they do so now. Now, the other thing that I was told is that structures have to come down before they can rebuild. And so we definitely, I think we could all agree, we need some new structure and some new way of doing things, new technologies, all kinds of things. But the old system has to come down, and we have to stop hanging on to it with our, white knuckles, trying to live as though that is the only reality. So I guess what I'm saying or asking is, how does that compare with what you understand what's coming, in 2026? And I'm not sure if I worded that correctly, but what say you,
Yeah, I
Adam?
understand you. Yeah, I would say from actually I when I did the reading before I got on, um, people will shift and start understanding what's happening and what's going on. Um, People don't admit to something that they've held on to with, as you mentioned, by bad knuckles and holding on to something that takes place. But it people will shift, and it's like, night and day when people just make a shift from something that they're not aware of it. They wouldn't want to admit it, but so I think it's going to
Mm-hmm.
take place, and it'll happen. It'll happen in a way where people's egos will blend themselves into the shift and change, because
Mm-hmm.
we hold on, as I always mention, we hold on to so many concepts of things that we've been raised in as a way of not using ourselves or using our own navigation systems. We look for others to take care of us. We're taught that the medical world is a means for us to feel a sense of security, where we don't want to take ownership for our own personal health and take the steps necessary to do that, because it takes work and it takes us believing in ourselves. But when it comes to the new challenges that are coming up, I don't think people will have a choice or an opportunity to really sit with it. It'll happen, and people will start shifting and then reflect backwards. It's funny. I talked to people who had none of the understand what one would consider conspiracy theories based upon every aspect of the last 5 years. And now when you talk to people they minimize their stance, and not that they don't take ownership, but they become non-committal towards what they
Mm-hmm.
believed or what they choose to believe. But it's not important really that somebody commits themselves, but in conversations with people, you get to see how people are afraid to commit themselves. But in the shift of doing it, they realize what's happening now, I feel. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't. I look at everything, spinning around and spiraling, and each one of us spinning at their own pace, gravitating to a higher floor when people are ready, not when other people tell them to.
Mm-hmm.
As we know, we evolve here to be able to uh, have our own personal growth, to learn our own soul's mission, have a soul's mission. So I think when we get caught up with worrying about other people, really, on this journey, and whatever the year is supposed to bring for everyone else, I think we can only take personal ownership for ourselves and sit with ourselves and see what it's going to do for us. I
Mm-hmm.
think, I know personally myself, I can feel the subtle shakes of my soul urging me, nudging me to move forward with certain things. And yet my ego, in a state of fear because I'm in the comfort zone and used to what I'm doing, that I know that it's pushing. I could feel it. And I have that
Mm-hmm.
inner conversation, that inner dialogue. We create a neurosis, anxiety, because we don't want to hear what the soul has to say or speak. So we suppress it, and it comes out in ways of anxiety. But so many people have been living in that state of anxiety that they don't recognize their subconscious mind or their higher self, and don't even know what that is or have not connection to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think all the
Mm-hmm.
changes will start to seep through, and people will make shifts in their lives. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with you.
Mm.
And
Tough.
especially, based on my own life, because I'm not really, anybody special. So I'm assuming that, if that's how it's working for me, that would work for everyone else. I was very excited to find out that 2026 is a 1 year. I've worked very hard the last 9 years with my building my health, building my podcasts and my online presence, building my relationships with my grown children. My parents have passed away now already quite well over 10 years ago. And at first, it was really weird, feeling like I was an orphan. I'd never been an orphan before. I know it's ridiculous because I'm an old lady, but it was still a terrific loss and a terrific adjustment. And but anyway, so just working and working and building up my life, building up my health, building up my relationships, making new friends, stepping out of old patterns for 9 years. It's been a really big job. And now I'm like feeling such a sense of relief that it's a 1 year. And my guides have said to me, Karen, oh my God, hang on to your hat. This is going to be a really exciting year. And it's really important not to take it too seriously, what you're seeing in the media and the news, and don't take it too seriously, because regardless of what's going on, I personally am doing the work, taking the steps to make my life better, done a lot of course correcting. And every time we look back at our past, at least for me, and I see the mistakes I made, the things I could have done differently, well, I get to course correct in the now, and that means my tomorrow is going to be better. So I've been paying it forward to myself, Adam. I don't know if that makes sense, for 9 years, actually longer. And now I'm in a 1 year and I'm really excited, super excited. I don't know exactly what to expect, but I kind of feel like a kid on Christmas morning. So I'm not afraid at all.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm stuck or it seems like it's not moving. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, yeah, you're not frozen up at all on the screen now. From time to time we will, I don't know why, but technology. But you're coming across great and I can hear you fantastic.
Okay. Yeah. So from I would say that I mean we have these if we're familiar with the numerical numerology of the year, and as we've been discussing, the 1 year is a completion after the nine cycles, and the 1 through 9. So yeah, I also know that that one is a leadership and a completion of all the other numbers that preceded it. And in this year coming up, as you just mentioned, I think that it'll force us to lead rather than follow, and make the
Hmm.
decisions without consensus. So I think trusting your own direction, even quiet people are pushed into self-direction, and who even haven't been in the path. And I think momentum is going to pick up, and you definitely help us fulfill some of the things that we weren't able to, or at least have reach its fruition. So I think this year will be
Hmm.
a year of fruition. I think if it'll be a little restless, frustrating, and I guess a lot of people can become impatient with and ego clashes in this type of year, because people want to start too many things and have instant
Hmm.
results for the people who have not
Hmm.
been doing the work. So
Hmm.
when you all of a sudden come up with an idea and you don't have the concept that there are steps that go along with it, because we can see that using the numerology, then this year would be a completion of the things that we've done before. So if we haven't really worked on ourselves, then it would be frustrating, because the energy being so fast won't give the person the opportunity to have assimilated those different aspects of the challenges that brought us to this place to begin with. Um, so so the seeds that we planted, um, over those last 8 years, 9 years, uh, are now going to somehow rear and come out of the ground, and we'll be able to see some of its fruit, which is very interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, it has a lot to do with perspective. I want to tell you a little short story that is, it's meant to be funny, but in a way, it's also true. Sorry, I don't mean to take away from what you're saying. I totally agree with you, Adam. But I heard this years ago, and it's all never ceases to inspire me. So there's a couple, and they have two kids. They're twins, and one of them is an incurable optimist, and the other one's an incurable pessimist. And they go to see a special a psychologist, and the psychologist suggests, okay, their birthday's coming up. When it comes to the pessimist, you fill his room with the best toys money can buy, and the optimist, you fill his room with horse um, excrement. That's all he gets, and no presents. And that should equalize the two of them out. So days go by, the parents follow the instructions, their birthday comes, and the pessimistic kid is in this room full of toys and everything he could ever want. And he's grumbling and complaining, and all I got is the stupid toys, and this isn't what I wanted. They can hear whistling and singing from the optimist room, and they go, is going on? And they go down to the room where their optimist child is, and they open the door, and the kid's singing away, and he's got a shovel, and he's shoveling through all this horse poop. And the parents say, son, what are you doing? And the kid says, you can't fool me. Where there's shit, there's a pony. And I thought, what a beautiful, I know it's a silly little story, but I thought,
That's
what a
great.
beautiful explanation, because if we don't have our minds right, doesn't matter what's going on around us, what gifts that we've been given, we're not going to be able to use it. But if we have the right mindset, we can get through anything. And I think that's why our spirituality is so very, very important. Anyway, I hope I didn't take things off too far on a tangent there, but I thought it was a beautiful kind of an illustration. So the work we've done on ourselves thus far, the work we continue to do, but I also believe it's never too late to get started. What's your thought on that, Adam?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that again, since we're here as souls, reincarnating on this plane to fulfill our mission, again, not everybody's timing is lined up in the same pattern or the same way, and so we're not going to be able to understand other people because although they may be the same age as us, we may know them, and we may have these expectations. Everybody is evolving on a certain frequency and an energetic vibration at a different pace. And I know for myself that looking at my life, um, I had maybe a feeling as being more evolved when I was a child, looking at people who were challenging me. And I think it takes everybody, it takes every type of ingredient on this earth for us to then look at others and not compare, but see where we are and to understand our own evolution. So the child who's in the room who is happy with the manure in his room with a shovel, and the child who gets everything is not. See, there's a lesson in all of those situations that are very helpful in a person developing. As we know, we're spiraling around and we're trying to evolve. Uh, and yeah, it's just a very interesting time for us to be around, that people are able to have these conversations, to actually speak about the things we're speaking about, and to
Mhm.
evolve people's consciousness. Like if you look back, I mean, where were there shows like this? Where were people talking about the things that we're talking about now? So many people, that like when you put up like reels or videos or discussions on life, which I like to do. So many people are on board, and you get to see the people who are not. You get to see the
Yeah.
people who resonate with who you are, and the people who don't. And
Mhm.
it's a good thing, but you feel a sense of loneliness because a lot of people, when they put out material, they're looking for quality. I mean quantity, as opposed to
Mm.
quality. And for me,
Mhm.
it's very important for us to be able to speak words that help people evolve, not just to draw upon, so to speak, numbers and people. While that's helpful, of course, financially for people when they put out videos and they make information. But the important thing is to be able to stay within yourself and not step outside of something that causes a sense of discomfort when it comes to resonating with who you are. So in other words, it means, I guess, being authentic. I think
Mhm.
authenticity is a key variable that we need to consider in our lives in order to remain on course and to be true to
Mhm.
ourselves. because
Mm-hmm.
that's probably one of the biggest things I find is authenticity, and I think it pays. And when we need to be authentic and teach authenticity, and not expect people to be something that they're not, and not raise children to be spoiled with toys and everything else and have no value.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yes. And
Yep.
so I see fearlessly. Phoenix is saying that to feel, not to feel alone, to have been able not to feel alone in the world, to find yes, absolutely, to find like-minded people, so important. But
Oh,
you can't find
really?
like-minded people unless we're authentic, right? We have to be authentic
Yeah.
with ourselves. And
Yep. I.
that's a lonely road. That's a lonely road because many people have to then are forced to sit with themselves. But I think the people who are finding the like-minded people are communicating more telepathically as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
extraneously. There's an energetic, I think, connection with people. Sensing and feeling that the earth itself is become more more fulfilled in materialism and emptier in what's valuable and what's what people could really nourish themselves with. A lot of people don't like to sit by themselves. They don't like to. We like to distract ourselves. We like to find our
Mm-hmm.
addictions, as I spoke about. We want to find things that can distract us from feeling. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the work that we've put in over the years of at least sitting with ourselves and just having recollection or understanding of these things is helping us and will help us go forward and be examples for other people. And I think children who are evolved, who've been evolving, who've been brought into this earth, have given this new mindset, this new way of helping others. And I think the new generation of younger people will be definitely assisting us and assisting everybody else to have more insight.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I think it's so important, again, as I mentioned earlier, for us to be able to, again, believe in the things that we don't see always, because it's
Mm-hmm.
such an important thing for us to be able to develop our own insight by trusting ourselves. The trust is an important factor. We need to learn how to trust ourselves, and we can only learn to trust ourselves by trial and error. And we can only learn to
Mm-hmm.
trust ourselves by sitting with ourselves and with the parts of ourselves that we don't like, and calming them and communicating with them. Usually the inner child, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so so I think it's a great opportunity for us this year, this coming year, to help us again connect to like-minded people who are on the same path. It's not always numbers. It's not always the quantity of things. It's more or less like you mentioned, the boy who's able to work with the crap and see a way of dealing with it and getting rid of it, knowing how
Mm-hmm.
to get rid of it, not having to sit with it. But it takes usually some type. It takes our own soul, or it takes an example, and many times we don't have that example. But we, yeah, that's the
Mm-hmm.
way I see it at that end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. I find that I've always struggled with my own authenticity because I was told and raised and programmed to believe there was something wrong with it, that I had to, I was expected to be good at everything and to be better than everyone else at what I did. And a failure was not an option. But I also had to learn all the social norms, which didn't work for me. Being on the autistic spectrum, uh, I boy, no one gave me a guidebook, and trying to figure it out is crazy. But I think that's true for everyone, whether you're on the spectrum or not. But if you've been told all your life that your authentic self is something wrong with it, either you're, I don't know, people make up stories because of their own insecurities and projection. And that's why shadow work is so important. But it's interesting to see the people who do not want to do shadow work don't see any need for shadow work. Much easier just to project onto other people. So I think it takes a tremendous amount of courage to be authentic and to risk looking silly, to look, to have different people make up different stories about what you're about instead of checking it out with you. But if we don't start doing that, how are we going to build an authentic society? And I think, that starts with self-love. If I didn't learn to love myself, I wouldn't be motivated to take good care of my body and my mental health and build a more functional community. But then I had to work with my grown children. That was really hard for me to learn to mind my own business, love them the way they are, let them make some mistakes. It's just like riding a bike. You're going to fall off a few times. Well, I can't expect someone younger than me not to ever make a mistake when I made so many myself, and I learned from it. They'll learn from it. And then it goes out into the greater family, then into the neighborhood, the community. And I think that's how we bring about lasting change to planet Earth. But we got to start somewhere, and stepping out into authenticity is really a challenge for many people. Adam, do you have any suggestions on how people could start moving in that direction?
Yeah, from my opinion, as you were speaking, the word conformity came into play. We try to
Mm-hmm.
conform, to fit in, to belong, to have a sense of security. And many times the people who take away our trust, who take away our ability to love, are teaching us, I guess, energetically, not to conform. If
Mm-hmm.
we have that soul's purpose, or that personality where we are not afraid of being alone. It's not a fun place to be, certainly when you're younger.
Mm-hmm.
But as you get older, from my experience, I've recognized the fact that when I didn't conform, the people who initially were conforming were looking at me as an outsider, and I felt like an
Mm-hmm.
outsider. And that happened at work. It happened in my house. It happened
Mm-hmm.
amongst family members. It happened in relationships. But the more I stuck to what I believed in a ethical and authentic way, then people started to eventually come around and follow the same patterns that I was were portraying, or living. And they might not have believed it or felt the confidence, because the majority of people conform and want to go along with what's popular. They want to fit in. They want to be loved. And a lot of the games and the labels that are played in the dynamics of family is if you don't do what I do, or you don't follow what you're supposed to follow, then we're going to ignore you. We're going to shut you down and be pushed out. And of course, we know about the
Mm-hmm.
black sheep of a family. But the,
Mm-hmm.
the the strength lies in our ability to stick to what we believe in. But that takes that inner knowing, and listening to that inner voice from a young age. And I think many of us people who are on this path, who've been on this path, no matter what age you are, but if, as long as you've challenged things, and you know in your heart that you have a sense of truth, then I say stick to that truth and believe in yourself. And people who are supposed to follow you on the path, who haven't at this point, will eventually do so. Every
Mm-hmm.
time that somebody, again, didn't like my rebelliousness, my independence, I recognized eventually I had visions that these people were going to come back, and then the other people come back, and then the people who are, I guess you would say, in work, brown nosing. At home, you could have people who are following a certain pattern to be, again, loved. But for me, it was more important, and I think it's more important to have self-respect and to learn dignity for yourself. And that's not an easy thing to do as a child, but it's something
Mm-hmm.
that's important. And as I speak about my life and my father in the position he's in now, here I'm faced with his death. And so over the years, in working on raising my own consciousness, I was able to raise his consciousness, because I didn't
Yes.
succumb to the negativity nor avoid him. I looked at him as a teaching, as a tool for me to learn to love someone who didn't even love himself. So it was my feeling that if I learned what made him, or what triggered him in his life, which is I portrayed in my film and I'll portray in my book even deeper, then I would be able to better understand humanity, people, myself, and the people who cannot rise up to that place that I've been trying to rise up to. And maybe I can
Mhm.
lend them the hand in doing so. And if they grab my hand and want help, I'll pull them up. But if they squeeze my hand and pull needles in my fingertips, then I'll let go. So
Mhm.
that's basically how I've come to this place where I see that if you respect yourself, if you have compassion for yourself, and you learn to be able to sit with yourself and develop your own belief system of what you think is right, not being completely stubborn, but it takes a little stubbornness to do so, then
Mhm.
I think that may be the way that I've gone, and maybe other people have gone that way too. The people who are listening here, or people who will listen.
Yep, I would agree. Adam, on that note, why don't you, we still have a few more minutes left, but I was wondering, I thought it'd be a good place for you to talk about the services that you offer people, because I know you have been very, very helpful to a lot of people on their journey. You've even been helpful to me on my journey. I appreciate you so much. Why don't you share with the listeners and the viewers what services you offer to help them if they get stuck?
Well, for me, it's interesting. So, I mean, it's not so important how I got into the work, but getting into the work and having your own journey, like we all do, and being able to see all aspects of your own painful self, your emotions, I guess put me on the path to want to help others, because I know we all have a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of what I had in me. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess what I offer is the Akashic record readings, and the Akashic record readings assist people on their soul's journey. It helps them understand their present day issues, that can be present day issues or can be past life energies or reincarnations that people are still unconsciously living in or
Mm-hmm.
experiencing, or remnants of those energies that we haven't cleared. So I think bringing the thought or the idea of what I see has helped people to realize that it's not what's going on right now. Like people who are fearful of going in the water, who've never had any type of encounter of drowning, but have fears of water, and seeing a
Mm-hmm.
memory pop up in a reading. I think we're affected by our past lives. So my Akashic record readings helps people to see things from from not only from the present moment, but from other energies that could be in our energy field, as well as directly the most pertinent conflict or issue going on in a person's life usually comes through for me when I do a reading. So I think it becomes helpful because I'm able to
Mm-hmm.
clarify through the Akashic records to a person's masters and teachers what they need to resolve and what they need to work on. And many times
Mm-hmm.
people don't share this information with me, but I'll all of a sudden, as soon as I read the person's name when I'm opening up their Akashic records, the most pertinent information of what's going on will come through, and what needs
Mm-hmm.
to be done when the person asks for that. So I do the Akashic record readings. That uh, helps them get information from their own records through their masters and teachers that's passed on to me. I also do energy work with sound therapy and distance Reiki, incorporating clearing people's chakra systems. And many people report, in the process, right afterwards, that they've done other things that have not helped them feel a sense of relief, and they've had a release. I hear people sigh, I hear people yawn, and I hear people's reactions afterwards. So the energetic clearing has been helpful after I do a reading, because it's almost like shaking the carpet up a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then needing the vacuum cleaner to clean up the spots that are now visible. And I think that's what the energy work does, because bringing up the emotions through my reading helps then again clear away things that need to go. And then I do the shamanic work, and the shamanic work is clearing the energetic body through shamanic traditions from
Mm-hmm.
Quechua tradition of Ecuador. I've studied under two people, Itzhak Berry and Hacho Castillo, two master shamans. And through their encounters, working with them and understanding some of the techniques, I've been able to help and assist people and clear their energy. So I would say that the energy work themselves is what resonates more with a person, because the intention of the healer, like myself,
Mm-hmm.
is there with love and compassion. So whatever resonates, like is what a person will use or be drawn to, and even from their own past lives of American ancestry or connections from past lives, people will be drawn to shamanism or other
Mhm.
techniques that exist. So that's really what I do. I do soul retrieval, which I would say more or less not the soul retrieval itself, but pointing out through the drumming when I'm doing a healing of what
Mhm.
information again is most pertinent, and ancestors coming through and sending information or speaking information to me that I pass on, and that's been very helpful for people because I don't know their
Mhm.
lives, I don't know them, and when this information comes and it resonates with them, and they say, "Oh wow, that exactly happened," or "This is I see something where they're sitting, or a family member, or someone that's passed."
Mhm.
I think it becomes helpful to a person to have it outside of themselves be brought back into them so that they feel comfortable dealing with it or sharing it or having someone share the information that wasn't told.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
That's
it's not when I do
wonderful.
readings, they're not yet. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Those are
wondering if you,
that's
sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. You go.
I was going to say, I really want to encourage all the listeners and the viewers to go over and subscribe to your channel, Adam, because you do these amazing visualization drumming sessions, and I just love them. I love them for a number of reasons. For one reason is for me, it's very soothing to my spirit and my nervous system. So when you're doing the drumming and I just kind of go into a bit of a flow state, close my eyes and listen to your words. And then you take us on a journey and it'll often be, in the woods and along a path and sometimes over a bridge and then we see a spirit animal, but you don't say what the animal is because we see what we need to see for our journey. And the whole thing wraps up. It's not a huge amount of time, but it's long enough that by the time we're done, I have insight. I have a very relaxed nervous system, which is really important for me to keep resetting that. But also it helps me to go into that flow state. And you do. I don't know how. Maybe you want to tell everybody how often you do these guided meditations, but they're so good for your soul. And I just really appreciate that very, very much.
Yeah. Well, I every Tuesday evening I try, and most every Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock, I have these shamanic journeys with as you mentioned, people going on a journey and encountering a spirit animal.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say spirit animal, not something that's forced upon a person to see something specific. It's more or less a person energetically seeing things, like people have dreams of animals. And when we're in that meditative state of the drumming, which puts us in a more relaxed state, we somehow see an animal, and that animal has an energetic structure or nature to it, like through the holographic aspect of it. And each
Mm-hmm.
animal gives off a different energy and a different message, what it represents. So you could see an eagle, you could see a crow, you could see an alligator, you could see a bobcat. And I guess we see most of the things that we relate to in our own environment, where we live, and the energies of them. So it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting because my brother-in-law had a giraffe, and it's interesting. You don't think people dreaming about exotic animals or different animals. And the dream was about my father, who's sick, passing and moving away from him, but the giraffe was looking over both of them. And a giraffe is having a long neck, looking from a higher perspective, so to speak. Uh, but getting back to the drumming itself, it's every Tuesday evening, and it's probably about 20 to 25 minutes the most. Try to keep it short so people are able to be present and feel something, or at least receive information. And even if not, you're in a meditative state, in a state, as I always say, of receptivity. I'm also coming out on
Mm-hmm.
Thursday evenings on my Instagram page, which maybe I'll share with you. It's going to be called 8 at 8. I was planning on using an 8 ball, the toy 8 balls that people have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you're familiar. don't know if you're familiar with that. The 8 ball? Yeah. I was going to use that, and I'm going to use that along with runes for people to ask questions. Um, and if there's something that somebody wants to go into more in depth of a question, that doesn't come through the playful modalities, but maybe truthful modalities of this, then they can always get an Akashic record reading. And I'm offering readings like for 15 minutes for a more reasonable type of price, so that this way, and also people could not spend so much time if they only have one or two questions.
Hmm.
But in general, this is what I find to be very helpful for people, as you mentioned, and I appreciate you for joining in and being there, and to that environment. So thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you. You're welcome, and thank you. Now we're almost out of time, Adam. I'm wondering if you have a message to the audience. A lot of people are afraid of what 2026 will bring. I myself am not in fear. My live chat friends here are also seem to be pretty fearless, including Fearlessly Phoenixing, who is fearlessly phoenixing in real life. But do you have a message? Do you have something that they can kind of hang on to, that can build them up and help them to, seize the day, seize the year, whatever?
I would say that it's very important us to focus on direction in life and not always on outcome. Uh,
Hmm.
I think that it's important for us again to go along the journey and the path, and to be in a state of wonder and never know what life will present itself to us. If we have an outcome, then we're fixed on something going a certain way, and it's not does we shouldn't it doesn't mean we shouldn't manifest or have a desire for something, but we have
Hmm.
to take smaller steps, I think, than larger steps in doing that. Because what happens is if we don't reach something, we become disappointed. And I did a talk about a dopamine response. When we do like if we're learning a language and we learn 3 words, we get a dopamine response. But if we do learn the
Hmm.
3 words and we don't get the fourth word, then we don't receive that feeling. So if we go too far in our expectations on this path, or go too far of ourselves, then I think it'll be disappointing. I think it's important for us to take the first steps, even if the plan isn't perfect. And again, as I just mentioned, to focus on direction and not outcome,
Hmm.
and that'll help us. I think to start off
Hmm.
with one or two meaningful things that we've been planning to do. And even though this year is more of expectation of what's going to happen, but I think it's important for us to have the mindset that focus in on the destination, the journey, as opposed to a destination where we're going, where we have to be.
Hmm.
And be patient with us. Be patient. Life is a journey. It's not that destination. The destination is over once we're finished, once our body passes on. Yeah. So that's
Hmm.
my message.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Adam, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm so glad that you could come back and help us start the year on such a positive note. I want to also thank all of you who came to the live chat. I mean, it takes time out of your day that you're willing to give up in order to share with us and with our community. I think it's really, really important. Very, very proud of this community of really loving souls. I also want to thank those who are watching the replay and those that have downloaded the audio from one of the audio platforms from the Forbidden Knowledge News Network. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Adam, I hope you have a wonderful year. I appreciate you so very much. And I guess that is about sorry, I was reading the comments. And that's about it for today. Thank you, everybody. I love you all and hope you can make it Sunday. Just a reminder, Sunday is live chat day. So when y'all come to the live chat, you'll be given the opportunity to come on the stage, meet each other, and share greetings and discussions. And of course, you don't have to. If you're camera shy, not a problem. And I just want, yes, Fearlessly Phoenixing also is reminding everybody to come back on Sunday. So with that happy note, we'll say bye-bye to everybody, and I hope you all just have the best week ever. Bye-bye now. Thank you for joining me for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube and other channels at Karen Holton TV. Click the like button, leave me a comment, and share this podcast with your friends. Read about my true life ET contact in my book called Transdimensional: Meet the New Neighbors, which is now available in Amazon bookstores worldwide. Check out my website at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you will find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton and also the Aliens and Angels podcast on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.